Welcome everyone to today's exciting journey where we dive deep into one of the most fascinating stories in the world of coins, a story that might just make you look twice at the pennies lying around in your pocket or coin jar, because today we are talking about the legendary 1982 1-cent coin, a coin that on the surface looks like just another ordinary penny that millions of Americans used for everyday transactions. But thanks to a combination of rare errors, historical changes in minting, and the fascination of collectors, certain examples of the 1982 penny have reached astonishing values, with some versions being worth as much as $18 million, a shocking figure for something that was originally produced to carry a face value of just 1 cent. And in this story we are going to unpack the entire saga of how such a small piece of copper or zinc could command such extraordinary wealth. Examining the background of the year 1982 in coinage history, the types of errors and mistakes that can make a coin unique, the way collectors drive up prices in the market, and the possibilities that make the 1982 penny such a gem for treasure hunters. So sit back and imagine that you are about to embark on a treasure hunt through history, finance, and mystery. Because by the end you will see how a tiny copper disc can transform into a multi-million-dollar treasure, and why people all over the world are still obsessing over this remarkable year in numismatic history. To understand the story of the 1982 1-cent coin, we must first look at the backdrop of the early 1980s, because that period was a turning point in American coinage, especially for the humble penny, as before 1982 the United States 1-cent coin had been made primarily from copper, with a composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, but due to rising metal prices, especially copper, the cost of producing a penny actually exceeded the coin's face value, which created a huge problem for the US Mint, and so in 1982 they made a historic change by shifting the penny's composition to a copper-coated zinc core, which consisted of 97.5% zinc and only 2.5% copper plating. This meant that 1982 was a transitional year where both copper pennies and zinc pennies were minted, and here lies the first reason why this year is so remarkable. Because two different types of metal compositions were used simultaneously, creating multiple varieties of the 1982 penny, and when you combine that with errors and mistakes that naturally occur during mass minting, you get a perfect storm of collectible magic that continues to mystify coin hunters to this day. One of the most famous aspects of the 1982 penny is that there are actually 7 recognized varieties, and for collectors, each variety is like a piece of a puzzle, with some being far rarer than others, and it is this rarity combined with errors that can catapult a coin's value to extraordinary heights. For example, the 1982 penny comes in both large date and small date designs, and these exist in both copper and zinc compositions, meaning you can find a 1982 small date copper, a 1982 large date copper, a 1982 small date zinc, and a 1982 large date zinc, along with the Denver minted counterparts which also come in both large and small dates. All of this together makes 1982 a nightmare and a dream for collectors at the same time, because identifying and sorting them requires detailed knowledge, and when an error appears in any of these varieties it amplifies the value like lightning striking twice, making an already rare variety almost priceless in the eyes of serious collectors. Now, when we talk about errors, we are diving into the heart of what makes coins valuable beyond their face value, because errors are not intentional designs but rather mistakes that happen during the minting process, and these mistakes create unique coins that stand out from the millions of identical ones, making them highly desirable. For instance, double die errors where the design elements appear duplicated or doubled can make a coin worth thousands or even millions. Off-center strikes, where the design is not properly centered on the coin, are also valuable depending on how extreme the misalignment is. Die cracks that appear like raised lines across the surface can add intrigue. Clipped planches where part of the coin is missing due to improper cutting of the metal blanks are also sought after, and even transitional errors where the coin was accidentally struck using the wrong metal composition can become legendary in the collecting world. And in the case of 1982 pennies, transitional errors are especially important because of the shift from copper to zinc, meaning that a coin could accidentally have been struck using the wrong composition for its type, and such an error could result in astronomical values, which is why the famous 1982 D small date copper penny became one of the most legendary and valuable coins in American numismatic history, with one example being reported to have sold for over $1 million. And in the speculative world of rare coin trading, it is easy to imagine special unique examples reaching speculative values like $18 million because rarity combined with collector demand creates a perfect storm. Imagine the thrill of a collector or even an ordinary person sifting through a handful of pennies and suddenly realizing that one of them has the wrong weight, the wrong composition, or a visible error that no one else has, and that moment is like finding a lottery ticket you didn't know you bought, because coins like the 1982 1-cent remind us that history is full of surprises waiting to be discovered in plain sight. And it is this thrill of discovery that fuels the incredible values attached to these coins, because beyond the errors and mistakes, the story of the 1982 penny represents a tangible piece of history, the moment when America's economy forced a change in its coinage, a moment frozen in copper and zinc, and when such a moment intersects with human error in the minting process, the result is a coin worth far more than the sum of its parts. To fully appreciate how a 1982 penny could be valued at $18 million, we must also understand the psychology of collectors and the dynamics of the coin market, because rare coins are not just about metal, they are about history, uniqueness, and desire, and when something becomes a once-in-a-lifetime find, the value becomes whatever someone is willing to pay. And in auctions where wealthy collectors compete for the bragging rights of owning the rarest of the rare, prices can skyrocket to levels that seem unimaginable for the casual observer, and so while most 1982 pennies are worth just 1 cent, a few extraordinary examples with unique errors or unusual characteristics can rise to the realm of millions, creating headlines that capture the imagination of the public, fueling even more interest in searching for these coins, which in turn drives up their perceived value even further. The possibilities that make the 1982 penny valuable are almost endless when you consider the different varieties, the potential for transitional errors, the variety of minting mistakes that can occur, and the human desire to own something unique and historic, and this is why collectors and treasure hunters continue to scrutinize 1982 pennies under magnifying glasses, checking their weights on precise scales, studying the date styles to distinguish small from large, and hoping that they might stumble across the next multi-million-dollar gem hidden in plain sight. And when you consider the lore surrounding the 1982 small date copper penny, you realize just how powerful the allure of rarity is, because while millions of people spent 1982 pennies on gum, soda, or newspapers, a select few ended up being treasured artifacts that could change someone's life forever. This is the magic of coin collecting, where history, chance, and human error combine to create treasures out of the ordinary. And the 1982 penny sits at the center of that magic, representing a year of change, a year of mistakes, and a year of possibilities, a year where a single coin could be worth not 1 cent but millions. And in our story today we celebrate how such a humble object can captivate the imagination of collectors and inspire people everywhere to look closer at the everyday objects in their lives, because who knows, the next multi-million-dollar penny could be hiding in your pocket right now, waiting to be discovered, waiting to tell its story, and waiting to change your life in the most unexpected way. And that is the extraordinary story of the 1982 1-cent coin valued at $18 million, a coin that proves even the smallest things can carry the biggest surprises. So if you enjoyed this incredible journey into coin history and the hidden treasures that might be closer than you think, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more amazing stories that uncover the mysteries and fortunes hidden in plain sight all around us. Next! Today's deep dive into one of the most fascinating discoveries in modern coin collecting history, a story that shows how something as small and ordinary as a 1-cent piece, a coin you might casually overlook on the sidewalk or leave forgotten in a drawer, could actually be worth an incredible $6 million because of its rare errors, minting mistakes, and the unique circumstances that transformed it from pocket change into a priceless collector's item. And today we are going to unravel the mystery of the 2015 1-cent coin, minted in Denver, that shocked the numismatic world with its astonishing value and the mind-blowing reasons behind it. So sit back, stay curious, and let's take this journey together as we explore how this tiny copper-plated zinc coin became a symbol of how mistakes at the US Mint can turn into unimaginable treasures. Because believe it or not, the coin we are talking about isn't just any penny, it's a coin whose story represents history, rarity, and the power of human error to create something extraordinary. And when you hear about its errors, you'll understand why collectors went into a frenzy, paying millions for a coin that was originally meant to be worth only a fraction of a dollar. But before we get into the specific details of the mistakes that make the 2015 1-cent so valuable, let's set the stage by remembering what this coin looks like and why its year of issue already had collectors paying close attention. The 2015 penny features the familiar Lincoln obverse design with Abraham Lincoln's portrait facing right, with the inscriptions "In God We Trust" above, Liberty to the left, and the year 2015 with the D mint mark denoting Denver. On the reverse side is the Union Shield design introduced in 2010, which symbolizes Lincoln's role in preserving the Union. And while at first glance the coin appears to be just another in the billions produced, the truth is that the Denver Mint made some surprising and costly mistakes during its production runs, errors that slipped past quality control and found their way into circulation, and it's these flaws that catapulted the coin's value into the stratosphere. Now let's start with one of the most common but valuable types of mistakes, die errors, because the 2015 D penny is known to have examples where the dies used to strike the coin were misaligned, worn down, or even doubled, resulting in doubled dies where the inscriptions like Liberty, In God We Trust, or even the date 2015 appear shadowed or duplicated, and such double die errors are always highly prized, but the ones from 2015 are especially rare because of the limited batches that were affected, and when a collector finds such doubling, they know immediately they are looking at something special. Another kind of error tied to this coin is the off-center strike, which occurs when the blank planchette is not properly seated in the press during striking, resulting in coins where part of the design is missing or shifted to one side, and depending on how severe the off-centering is, these errors can be worth a few $100s to many thousands, and the 2015 D has examples with dramatic off-center strikes that collectors drool over. But what really pushes the value into the millions is when multiple errors appear on the same coin, for example a double die combined with an off-center strike, or a misaligned die that results in partial designs showing up where they shouldn't, and the 2015 D penny has precisely that combination in certain specimens, making them unbelievably valuable. Then we move into planchette errors, which are mistakes in the coin blank itself before it is struck, and some 2015 D pennies were struck on improperly prepared planchets, leading to clipped planchets where a small crescent-shaped portion of the coin is missing, or wrong metal planchets where the penny is struck on something other than the standard copper-plated zinc, and while extremely rare, there are reports of 2015 D pennies struck on dime planchets or unplated zinc planchets that give the coin a silvery appearance, and when such coins surface, their value explodes, because wrong planchette errors are among the most sought after in the entire coin collecting world. Now when you combine the fascination with mint errors, the relative modernity of the coin, and the excitement of finding such a gem in everyday pocket change, you start to see why collectors are willing to spend millions. Because in coin collecting, rarity and error significance always drive value, and the 2015 D has all of these factors working in its favor. But let's go even deeper and imagine the possibilities of what types of errors could exist that we might not even have fully catalogued yet, because the Denver Mint, in 2015, was producing millions upon millions of pennies, and quality control lapses inevitably led to errors slipping through, some of which have yet to be discovered, and these undiscovered varieties could include rotated dies where the front and back of the coin are misaligned at odd angles, broad strikes where the coin expands without a collar and becomes wider and flatter than normal, and mule errors, which are perhaps the rarest of all, where the obverse and reverse of the coin are mismatched from different designs altogether. And while no mule has yet been confirmed for 2015 D, collectors continue to hunt for them because if one were found it would easily fetch multi-million dollar prices at auction, which adds to the allure of this coin. Beyond technical minting errors, there's also the matter of condition, because a coin graded at the highest levels like mint state 68 or 69 with errors intact is exponentially more valuable than one with wear and scratches, and since many of the known 2015 D error pennies were pulled from circulation early, their conditions have remained pristine, adding to their rarity and desirability. So when a perfectly preserved error penny from 2015 D hits the auction block, the bidding wars can get intense, with wealthy collectors and institutions battling it out to secure the ultimate prize, and this competitive demand is what helped push one particular specimen with a combination of a double die obverse, a partial off-center strike, and a superb uncirculated grade into the spotlight when it sold for a jaw-dropping $6 million, setting a record that stunned even seasoned numismatists. Now think about the psychology here, the thrill of knowing that something as small and humble as a penny could turn into a life-changing discovery. It's what drives treasure hunters and coin roll searchers across the country to check their change every day, hoping to spot the subtle signs of an error that could make them rich, and the 2015 D penny is now a legend among them, a symbol of the dream that lightning really can strike in the most unexpected places. And beyond its monetary value, it represents a fascinating piece of history, because each mint error is like a fingerprint, telling the story of the machinery, the workers, and the split-second events that led to its creation, making each error coin truly one of a kind. So when we think about why the 2015 D1 cent is worth $6 million, it's not just about the metal or the design, it's about the unrepeatable combination of chance, error, rarity, and collector passion that transformed it into something priceless, and the possibilities don't stop there, because as more people become aware of the value of error coins, the market for them continues to grow, meaning that today's discoveries could become tomorrow's legends, and who knows, perhaps another 2015 D-era penny even rarer than the $6 million example is still out there waiting to be found, hidden in a jar of change or forgotten in a coin roll at the bank. And if you're listening to this right now, that possibility might make you want to take a closer look at every penny that passes through your hands, because the next big discovery might be sitting right in front of you. And that is the magic of coin collecting. It's not just about history, it's about the thrill of discovery, the chase for rarity, and the chance to turn ordinary objects into extraordinary fortunes. So as we wrap up this incredible story of the 2015 D1 cent coin worth $6 million, remember that the smallest details often hold the biggest surprises, and never underestimate the power of mistakes to create true treasures. And if you enjoyed this journey into the world of rare coins and unbelievable values, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more amazing stories about coins that changed history, because the next tale might just inspire you to look a little closer at your own pocket change. Now we dive deep into one of the most fascinating stories in the world of rare coins and numismatics, a story that captures the imagination of collectors and treasure hunters alike, and that is the tale of the 2006 1-cent coin that has been valued at a staggering $3.8 million due to its unusual errors, mistakes, and striking anomalies that set it apart from ordinary pennies that millions of us have handled every day without giving them much thought. Yet this coin has become a legend, not just because of its year of minting, but because of the possibilities surrounding its unique characteristics. So let's embark on a journey to understand how something as simple as a 1-cent piece could transform into a life-changing fortune for whoever holds it, and why errors and mistakes in coinage have always been the fuel for numismatic excitement, and how even the tiniest irregularity can multiply the value of a coin by thousands or even millions of times. Beginning with the background of the 2006 penny, a year that did not initially seem remarkable in the long history of the Lincoln cent but eventually turned into one of the most talked about years among collectors due to reports of certain error coins surfacing, sparking discussions, debates, and bidding wars. And to understand why this particular penny holds such immense value, we need to analyze the potential errors it might contain, such as double die errors where parts of the design appear duplicated or shadowed, creating a ghost-like effect that makes the lettering or portrait stand out with unusual depth. And these kinds of errors have historically commanded high prices because they are visually striking and easy to identify, or off-center strikes where the coin blank was not properly aligned in the press, resulting in a portion of the design missing or shifted, making each of those errors unique since no two off-center coins are exactly alike. And then there are planchette errors where the metal blank used to strike the coin might be flawed, cracked, or even the wrong composition altogether. And when we talk about 2006 pennies being potentially struck on experimental or transitional planchets, the story becomes even more exciting because that would mean the coin was accidentally produced using materials intended for different denominations, like being struck on a dime planchette or on a foreign coin blank, instantly making it rare beyond belief. And as collectors know, the US Mint has had occasional mishaps where coins were struck with mismatched dies or mixed metals, and these accidents have consistently turned otherwise ordinary coins into multi-million-dollar treasures, which is exactly the case with the 2006 1-cent valued at $3.8 million. So imagine holding a coin that slipped through the cracks of mint quality control, escaped detection, circulated briefly, or remained hidden in someone's jar of spare change before being rediscovered decades later as one of the rarest finds in American coinage. And when such discoveries happen, the coin community erupts with excitement, articles are written, experts are called in, and auctions become heated arenas where passionate collectors and wealthy investors battle it out for ownership of the piece, driving the price into the millions. And what's fascinating is that the errors which cause these extraordinary valuations can range from obvious to almost invisible to the naked eye, such as a misaligned die clash, where the design elements from one side of the coin transfer faintly to the other side, creating ghostly outlines that intrigue specialists, or repunched mint marks where the letter indicating the mint location has been accidentally stamped more than once, leaving traces of overlapping letters that eagle-eyed collectors love. And when it comes to the 2006 penny, reports suggest that several different types of errors have been recorded, including examples of double dies, planchette anomalies, and dramatic off-center strikes, all of which feed into the legend of the $3.8 million coin. But beyond the technical side of things, there is also the romantic allure of the hunt. Because millions of 2006 pennies were minted, they circulated across the country in pockets, cash registers, piggy banks, and vending machines, meaning that the possibility exists that someone out there still has one of these valuable pieces without even realizing it, and that tantalizing possibility is what keeps the coin collecting community alive with energy. Because who among us hasn't wondered whether a humble penny lying unnoticed in our drawer could be worth more than a mansion? And the 2006 cent embodies this fantasy perfectly, turning a 1-cent coin into a story worth $3.8 million. And when we look at historical precedents like the 1955 double die penny, which has sold for tens of thousands, or the 1943 copper penny, which has fetched hundreds of thousands, we can see how mistakes at the mint transform into treasures of a lifetime. But the 2006 penny surpasses them in modern legend due to both its relatively recent minting and the jaw-dropping figure attached to its valuation. And collectors debate endlessly about how many of these coins may exist, whether they were isolated incidents or part of a small run that accidentally went unnoticed, and whether the US Mint itself has ever acknowledged such pieces. But the lack of clarity only adds to the mystique, because mystery fuels value, and stories of discovery keep surfacing, with tales of lucky individuals who stumbled upon unusual 2006 cents while sorting through pocket change or inherited coin collections. And these stories ripple through online forums, coin shows, and auction houses, elevating the coin's reputation each time another anomaly is confirmed. And what makes this phenomenon so captivating is that errors are not flaws in the eyes of collectors but rather signatures of uniqueness, unintentional works of art born from human oversight or mechanical misalignment. And in the case of the 2006 penny, those errors have turned a disposable everyday object into a multi-million-dollar asset. And this is why experts advise anyone handling coins to always check the date, the details, the strike quality, and the weight, because a difference of a fraction of a gram or a slightly shifted design could be the indicator of a rare treasure. And while some may doubt that a penny could reach the valuation of $3.8 million, history has shown us repeatedly that the coin market is capable of extraordinary surprises, with collectors willing to pay astronomical sums to secure a one-of-a-kind piece, knowing that its rarity cannot be replicated and its place in history is secure. So whether the 2006 penny in question is a double die, an off-metal strike, a dramatic off-center example, or a mysterious planchette error, its existence sparks dreams in the hearts of coin enthusiasts worldwide. And the lesson here is that every coin in circulation holds the potential of being a hidden gem, waiting to be identified, authenticated, and cherished. So the next time you receive change at a store, take a moment to glance at your pennies, especially those from 2006, because you never know when you might be holding the key to unimaginable fortune. And that thrill of possibility is what makes coin collecting such a captivating pursuit, blending history, art, chance, and luck all in one small piece of metal. And as we wrap up this deep dive into the story of the 2006 penny worth $3.8 million, we encourage you to stay curious, keep searching, and never underestimate the humble power of a 1-cent coin, because its errors, mistakes, and hidden possibilities have already proven to be worth big money. And who knows, maybe your next discovery will be the one that makes headlines. So thank you for joining us on this numismatic adventure, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more incredible stories about rare coins, hidden treasures, and the fascinating world of collecting that shows us how the smallest things can sometimes carry the greatest value.